It's time for another new chapter of Jojolion, and there's a lot of information to digest in this one. We're also right around the corner from reaching 100 chapters of Jojolion, which in itself is really exciting. Also, thank you everyone who has recently subscribed, as the channel has managed to reach the big 7k subs. I appreciate everyone who has watched, commented, shared, and given thumbs up on my videos. You guys are the best. Speaking of which, Josuke's Soft and Wet may be able to take things away from people or objects, however, it cannot take away the subscribe button from the Bizarre Star Platinum channel. So make sure you click that button to receive regular updates on chapter reviews, stand analysis videos, and more. There'll be plenty of speculation and theorizing in this video, and future chapters may debunk what I say in this review. A lot of things are left open to interpretation at this point in Jojolion, and I really can't wait to get some answers to these questions raised in this chapter. Starting off with the cover page, we get a nice image of Tooru with Akefu Satoru's stand form stood behind him. I know Akefu Satoru being Tooru Stand was still being questioned up until this point, but this cover basically confirms that the head doctor is indeed Tooru Stand. The text on screen reads, "All events are consolidating to this man," which sounds like it's trying to say all the calamities up until this point stem from Tooru and his calamity ability. If this doesn't shout, "Hey, the head doctor is my stand," then I don't know what will. The chapter begins by giving us a National Geographic-esque explanation of rock human women. Araki explains that there are no visual differences between rock human women and human women. On top of that, he confirms that human males can impregnate a rock human woman, however, a rock human male cannot impregnate a human woman. Multiple images of various women are shown, including Hermes from part 6 and Enya from part 3. I've seen a few people confused by this, thinking that this page is confirming Hermes and Enya were rock human women. However, I don't believe that to be the case, mainly because rock humans seem to be specific to the part 7 and 8 universe. I feel like this page is just there to prove that regular women can come in all shapes and sizes, meaning that rock human women can also do the same. On the next page, we're told that the rock human mothers carry their fetuses for 6 months, and once they give birth, they carry the child deep into the forest, leaving the baby by the roots of a dead tree. It also tells us that the mother rarely ever gains affection or feels any sort of parental relationship with the child. As humans, we know we have the responsibility of parenthood, and we have an idea of how to take care of children due to our own upbringing and instincts. However, it seems the rock humans never had this, and it seems to be tradition to leave the child alone in a forest in order for it to live and grow. It may seem barbaric to us, but to the rock humans, this is normal. Left all alone in the middle of the forest, the baby is susceptible to attacks by wild animals, and the child also cannot get nutrition. However, insects are what approaches the child first before any of these bad things befall it. Page 4 explains the average length of a newborn rock human baby to be 28 millimeters. This converts to approximately 1.1 inches, which is around 1/3 the size of your average credit card. The average newborns also weigh around 15 grams, which is around the same weight as a regular compact disc, so the newborns are incredibly small and lightweight. Carnivores still approach the newborns in the form of Asian giant hornets and Japanese yellow hornets. The average Asian giant hornet soldier wasp has a body length of 1.8 inches, whereas the queens can exceed 2 inches, nearly a whole 1 inch longer than the average rock human newborn. Regular humans have only a handful of instincts that they know in the first few hours of being born. A few of those are the need to cry and the instinct to suckle their mother's breast to receive sustenance and nutrition. This is how a baby instinctively knows how to survive, whereas a rock human newborn's instincts revolves around the knowledge of wasps. The child knows instinctively to avoid the stinger and mandibles and clings onto the wasp's underside like a human baby would cling to its mother's breast. These rock human babies instinctively know exactly where to place themselves to avoid the biological weaponry that wasps come equipped with. Eventually, the wasp gives in. Not knowing how to deal with the situation it's in, it returns to the hive. Again, this action is all instinctively known by the babies. They also seem to know that wasps use pheromones to gather comrades to create their societies and hives. Therefore, the rock human baby's instincts tells it that clinging to this wasp will take it to a home with warmth and nutrition. On its journey towards the hive, the rock human newborn knows to instinctively harden its skin like stone to protect itself against the air currents and also from the other wasp's potential attacks. Once the rock human baby arrives at the hive, it releases itself from the wasp and rolls around the hive until it finds where the queen wasp is located. The baby then finds a soft section of the queen's body and fights its way through to the inner workings of the wasp. The baby then makes its home inside the queen's body, taking over it whilst it's still half alive. This reminds me of the fungal parasite that can hijack the bodies of ants to manipulate their behavior whilst they're still alive. Within this queen hornet, the baby sleeps, keeps warm, and receives the nutrients it needs to grow by sucking them from the wasp. Transferring over from queen hornet to queen hornet across 17 years, the baby learns about life, about the laws of nature, the flow of time, the concept of numbers, and how to live within a group. How the baby can learn these things whilst inside the half-dead body of a queen wasp is beyond me, but it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and a lot of things in JoJo don't make a whole lot of sense, so I'm just gonna roll with it. After 17 years of impatiently waiting, the rock human suddenly grows, exploding the hive and killing all the wasps. This rock human is then free to wander into the outside world for the first time. We also get a glimpse here of Tooru's emergence from the hive, which makes me wonder if the baby from this chapter was Tooru. Now we're about to jump from National Geographic to a science lesson. I'm not the best at science, so bear with me on this one. Regular humans are known as carbon-based lifeforms, and about 12% of the human body's atoms are made up of carbon atoms. This page is explaining that at the same time that carbon cells were created, silicon cells were also born. However, these silicon cells were much fewer in number and only bonded with the DNA of a small percentage of living organisms. To put it a different way, regular humans are carbon-based organisms and we are how we know we are. However, in Jojolion, a small percentage of life was created using silicon cells as its basis. These silicon-based organisms are the rock humans. Measuring by weight, the Earth's crust is made up of approximately 25.7% of silicon, meaning silicon is a core element of the Earth. The next page explains to us that the silicon-based lifeforms of the rock organisms were created in case the carbon-based lifeforms, or regular humans, failed and came to an end. The rock organisms are essentially a fallback for the Earth in case humanity failed and died out. In other words, the rock organisms don't have a meaning in life unless all of humanity is extinguished. Right now, rock humans are second to carbon-based life. This explanation could give reason to Tooru's character and goal, as he potentially might have the mindset where he wants the rock humans to be the main species on Earth, but the only way this can be achieved is if all carbon-based lifeforms are made extinct. The next page backs up my theory, as it states that the only role that rock humans serve is to be a backup plan, essentially. Rock humans have no family and are mainly independent, so they don't often form friendships with other people. However, they will sometimes form groups or relationships to slip into human society, with no emotion or love between them. Rock humans also see the ground, rock, stone, and other silicon-based earthly elements as blessings from the earth. They believe some special places within rocky areas can grant them special powers. They then claim these special places as their true home. This next page states that there is no way for humans and rock humans to ever form a mutual relationship. This is where we start to get some throwbacks and where things get a bit rocky. Pun not intended. Or maybe it was. We see a flashback to Johnny and Gyro during the Steel Ball Run race travelling through the Devil's Palm, which is a constantly moving rocky area that grants stand abilities to those who enter it. And then, boom, we see what appears to be Lucy Steele, who travelled over to Morio with a mofo in Speedwagon Foundation briefcase. We finally get the mention of the Speedwagon Foundation in Jojolion, and the confirmation that Lucy Steele joined the group. This next page is where a lot of people seem to be confused. The stone mask from parts 1 and 2 is present, with Enyaba carrying the stand arrow. Below this we see an image of Josuke and Josefumi at the wall eyes of Morio. Unless that's meant to be Yoshikage Kira with Josefumi, but the hairstyle reminds me more of Josuke's. Some people seem confused by this page, thinking that it confirms the stone mask and stand arrows to exist in the Steel Ball Run universe. I believe that these are just examples being shown of objects that came from rocky objects, that have been shown to grant special powers. The stone mask caused vampirism, the stand arrows were forged from an alien meteor that fell from space, and the grounds of Morio being a rocky surface of the earth. Plus, the Devil's Palm is also made up of rocks that protrude from the earth's surface. All of these are known to grant special powers, or stands. We move over into a flashback of a funeral where it appears Rai Mamazuku's father has passed away. Rai is surrounded by various men seemingly being caring towards him and his mother's health, however they only seem interested in profiting from Rai's father's death. Norisuke appears, looking weirdly like Funny Valentine with slightly different hair. This potentially shows the beginning of Rai and Norisuke's friendship. Mamazuku mentions that his father owned a pear orchard before his death. He explains that his father's pear orchard was destroyed by insects, and we get a glimpse of some of the pears spewing some form of thick liquid, as well as a dead bird's body doing the same. Rai explains no one believed him when he said he saw insects, but his father took his word as truth and went to investigate. However, it was during a vicious typhoon, which ended up creating an abnormal landslide, crushing Rai's father. Norisuke points out there normally aren't any landslides created by typhoons in Morio until now. He then goes on to explain that this was not Rai's fault, rather it was a natural calamity. Following the usage of the word calamity, Rai starts to notice a strange figure at the funeral, someone even Norisuke doesn't recognize. The figure is then revealed as the head doctor, Akefu Satoru, but obviously, Rai and Norisuke didn't know who that was at the time. We then flip back to the current day at the TG University Hospital, where Rai's memories of the head doctor at his father's funeral flood back to his mind. He realizes this figure was at his father's funeral that day, and puts 2 and 2 together in his head. And seeing as we, the readers, know that the head doctor is Tooru Stand, this means that Tooru must have killed Rai's father. The head doctor explains that he does not yet possess the Nurokakaka, however, the Flow of Calamity is carrying it towards him. The Flow of Calamity essentially means a chain of cataclysmic events are drawing the Nurokakaka ever closer to him as time goes on. My theory on this one is, one calamity event that happened days ago for example, could then lead to something else bad happening a different day, creating a chain of unfortunate events which would then lead to the Nurokakaka eventually winding up in the hands of Tooru. However, if that first calamity never happened, the chain of events would have happened differently, possibly resulting in the Nurokakaka's path becoming different and the fruit not going to Tooru. Satoru also explains that the Flow of Calamity will lead to Josuke eventually standing up from the chair to pursue him. Here we finally hear the name of Tooru Stand, Wonder of You, which is what I expected as the stand was first shown during the Wonder of You arc. It's at this point that da-da-da-da, god it's still so awkward to say, returns for a second round with Josuke and Mamazuku appearing out of the ground and creating its structure with the sushi rolling board again. Josuke jumps onto the chair and starts to attack da-da-da-da, when suddenly thick liquid begins to pour out from his eyes, ears, nose and mouth. As this pours out of his orifices, the rock insect throws an attack at the blinded Josuke. Rai uses doggy style to reach Josuke's face in time to block the attack, creating a wound on his hand. Rai tells Josuke not to move and that the attack from the rock insect injects poison into the body of its target. He then states that if you're stabbed and try to escape upwards, you'll cough up asbestos. Yep, that's asbestos leaking out of Josuke's face. Brutal. Rai realizes something about the rock insect but doesn't decide to share it with the class. Rai mentions the poison is not a very strong one, so it's possible that it will not kill the target directly. However, asbestos is still a very dangerous substance. Wonder of You explains it is not being stabbed and escaping upwards that triggers the asbestos leakage, but it's being stabbed and stretching out the limbs that cause the effect to be triggered. He explains every hole of the body will begin to spew out asbestos. I'd hate to be Josuke right now, let's put it that way. Wonder of You explains that the rock insect is a hunter of mountainous regions, usually eating rabbits and birds, as those are animals that try to escape by jumping or flying, therefore extending their joints and limbs, triggering the effect and making them easy targets for the rock insects. The stand also explains when plants, branches and fruit become injured, they stretch out. This then affects them the same way as human bodies when their limbs stretch out, causing the same effect of asbestos to spew out of the injuries. This harks back to the page earlier in the chapter when it showed the pears and the bird on Rai's father's orchard appearing diseased. Rai as a child was correct, he did see insects in the pear orchard, and it was these rock insects that destroyed Rai's father's fruit. Along with that, Wonder of You was present at the funeral. The stand explains that Rai's father was caught in the Flow of Calamity, meaning that his father was collateral damage within the greater scheme of things. Tooru's goal must lie at the end of this Flow of Calamity, and anyone who gets caught within calamities on the way to that goal are killed as collateral damage within the Flow of Calamity. This calamity took the form of the landslide due to Rai's father going out to investigate the insects on the orchard, which was classed as a form of pursuing the culprits and Tooru. The final page shows Josuke unaware of da-da-da-da, assimilating with the desk and climbing up towards him from behind. We also get a badass glimpse of the eyes of a man who wants to kill his target by any means. Rai Mamazuku stares down Wonder of You with determination, as the stand then states that there is nothing at all that humans are allowed to possess, whether it's a pear orchard or the Nurokakaka. These words make me feel like Tooru is very anti-human race, possibly believing they don't deserve anything on this earth. This may be because the Earth's second most common element is silicon, with the first most common element being oxygen. Perhaps rock humans see the Earth as a godly figure, as it was stated earlier that rocky terrain are seen as blessings from the Earth to the rock humans. I really enjoyed this chapter, and even though there was a hell of a lot of information to take in and digest, I think it did a good job of explaining the origins and process of the rock humans. So far, we know that Tooru's Calamity stand ended up killing Rai Mamazuku's father. We also know that the silicon-based lifeforms of the rock organisms were created as a fallback in case the carbon-based life on Earth failed and extinguished. I'm honestly starting to believe that Tooru's goal is the extinction of all carbon-based life, as he believes that they do not belong on this heavily silicon-based planet. Only time will tell, but so far this endgame arc is leading up to an epic conclusion. Hopefully chapter 100 next month will give us some more Tooru backstory, and we'll hopefully get more of an explanation on how his stand Wonder Review works. If you enjoyed this video, then it would be great if you could leave a thumbs up on it down below, and maybe even subscribe to keep up with regular uploads and stand analysis videos. What did you think of chapter 99? Do you think Tooru's goal is the extinction of all carbon-based lifeforms? Or do you have a different theory? Let me know in the comments down below. Remember, I've theorized and speculated throughout this review, and some of my theories may not end up being true. However, we can only know by reading future chapters. Thank you for watching, but until next time, Bizarre Star Platinum out.